meeting is being recorded.
So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us today. Again, I want to thank you for being with us for the UB JD MBA webinar. Your presenters today are going to be myself, Aaron Shaw, the Assistant Director of Recruitment for the Graduate Programs Office, and I'm going to introduce my colleague, Lindsay. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Gladney. I'm the Vice Dean for Admissions at the UB School of Law. And thanks for joining us this evening.
Excellent, thank you. So we're going to kick things off with the MBA portion of the dual degree program. And today I want to talk to you about investing. It's a term often used in the financial industry and business as a whole. I'm sure in some capacity you've either, if not experienced it, just heard the word investing. But I want to talk about investing in your most valuable asset, that being you. You may be here today because you want to work smarter, you want to rise faster, pursue your passions, drive your ambitions, create a better life, chart a new path, or challenge yourself to your fullest potential, all while potentially positively impacting the world and being rewarded financially. This can all be accomplished through diversifying your professional and personal portfolios with the UB MBA program. So over the next 8 slides, we're going to explore the foundation of the UB MBA experience that makes this a standout program, and how you will gain the expertise that empowers a lifetime of personal, professional, and purposeful growth. Before I get to the end of that though, I'm going to hand it off to Lindsay, who will cover the JD portion of today's session, who you just met. So the MBA, where do you start? Like the slide alludes to, you start with a blank slate. This whole process can be overwhelming. There are a lot of schools to consider, choices to make, not to mention the massive amounts of data and options to shift through. So here's what you really need to know about the UB MBA program. UB MBA students are tenacious, they're ambitious, they're purposeful, and just like our students, our comprehensive 2-year MBA program is different, but in a good way. That difference is achieved through a powerful combination of curriculum, concentrations, collaborative degrees, action learning opportunities, global perspectives program, and most importantly, smart and caring people whose job is to help you succeed. Investing in your MBA gives you the knowledge, skills, connections, and real-world experience to shape your future. Now let's dive a little bit deeper and kick things off with the curriculum. Beyond the core curriculum lies an opportunity to define your career goals and customize an academic program to achieve them through one of our 9 concentrations. On the screen, you'll see a potential outline version of what this program looks like as a whole. First year, in this case, being MBA, second law, third a combination of the 2, fourth a combination of the 2. But understand that you can start either program first before entering into the secondary portion of the dual degree. And you have up until completing your second year in the law program to apply for the MBA portion. You can flex and customize to your fit. The core curriculum is developed with the input from corporate recruiters, alumni, faculty, staff, and career experts. And there's a major team emphasis, especially throughout that first year of the MBA program, that takes advantage of and looks to enhance your communication skills, your quantitative analysis, and your integrative analysis, which are fundamental to the program. Moving on to those concentrations that I mentioned, bottom line is the world needs doers, and completing a concentration clearly shows your career interest and focus in a particular field or functional area. So we're looking for you to define your career goals and customize an academic program to achieve them. The concentrations that are offered currently are laid out towards the bottom of your screen, ranging from analytics to operations and supply chain management and everything in between. One note I'd like to make here is that you're not necessarily required to select a concentration, or you have the option to select multiple concentrations, which is often the case when folks are looking at consulting, for example, because obviously you've got to be able to consult in a specific area. Moving on to action learning. So what is action learning? What's the value of action learning? As you can see here, as an individual, as a team or a cohort, UB MBAs learn by doing, and that's the premise for incorporating so much action learning into our program. We give you the tools to immerse yourself in the same environment that exists in today's top business organizations. Some of the ways that we're able to achieve this are through programs like Corporate Champions, Leader Corps, the Mentor Program, Social Impact Fellows, the list goes on. With that in mind, we've got another program that I mentioned earlier called Global Perspectives, which allows you to take your learning worldwide. The UB MBA is where you gain a broader worldview to prepare for an interconnected global and diverse economy. Some of the ways that you do this is through achieving and expanding your perspective, set bigger goals and reaching them, mastering action learning on a worldwide scale, acquire insights into economic geography, open your mind into a world of inspiration, amplify your cultural sensitivity, and develop your global network. Currently, the locations that are being offered are listed there: Central and Eastern Europe, China, Costa Rica, and Ghana. All of these trips are taking place during a break, whether that be winter break or spring break, so you're not taking yourself out of the classroom during either the fall or spring semesters to take advantage of these opportunities. On that note, let's talk about network. I'd like to introduce you to the UB MBA community. During the UB MBA, the people you meet become your community, supporting you during your MBA and long after. We call this your UB MBA Forever Network, where you're building purposeful human relationships which are key to success in both your professional and personal life. In grad school at UB, students, faculty, staff can be both teachers and mentors who are invested in your success, willing to listen, provide career guidance both in and out of the classroom. They become strategic influencers in your professional network, introducing you to alumni, recruiters, and industry professionals. So at this point, you may be thinking, Aaron, all of this sounds great, but how can I afford it? In terms of funding your MBA, we've found ways to enhance the University of Buffalo's already competitive tuition by offering scholarships, fellowships, and assistantships for highly qualified and motivated students. You can see the tuition and fees laid out there: $18,898 for in-state, $28,638 for non-residents. Some of the scholarships that are being offered underneath the School of Management umbrella are listed there at the bottom of the screen: Connection to Excellence, the School of Management Scholarship, William C. King, Western New York Prosperity Fellowship, the Cyber Security Scholarship, and so on and so forth. So all of these opportunities, again, as I mentioned, that fall under the School of Management umbrella, there's nothing that you need to do in addition to applying for the program. You're automatically considered for each of these through the admissions process. They're all merit-based, and so it's just a matter of how your profile stacks up against others that are applying. Speaking of applying, let's move into admissions. And so no matter when you're looking to do the MBA portion of this, whether it's this fall, next fall, 2 falls from now, the application is going to open up on July 1st each and every year. And traditionally, we have 5 rounds that fall in October, December, February, April, and June. Depending on your situation and how strongly you feel about your profile at a particular instance throughout the year, will kind of dictate which deadline to shoot for. But I can tell you that there's not an advantage for applying to one over the other, with the exception of being an international student, February 1st being that final international deadline. Also being the priority deadline for all the scholarships, fellowships, and assistantships that I just mentioned. In addition to this webinar, there's plenty of recruiting events that you have an opportunity to participate in. MBA for a Day is one of those. Scholarship receptions are another. Women Leading Business, Military Preview Day. The list is fairly extensive and can be found on our website through Attend a Recruiting Event button, which will kind of follow you no matter where you're navigating on the website. The application itself is fairly straightforward and simple. You can see the components laid out on your screen. The application form itself, taking either the GMAT or the GRE, and we'll get into that conversation a little bit later on when Lindsay is discussing the JD side of the missions. For us, 2 letters of recommendation could be professional or academic or a combination of the 2. 2 personal statements, the first outlining career goals and objectives and how the UB MBA program is going to help you achieve those. And the second revolving around adversity, being in a team environment, and overcoming that adversity, turning into a positive. These are all outlined within the application itself on the website. So if you're looking for greater details on those, that's where you're going to find it. Your resume and your transcripts. And the key note with your transcripts is that we need unofficial transcripts from any university, college, institution that's awarded you credit towards completing your bachelor's degree. So now, at this point, I'd like to hand it off to Lindsay, who's going to cover the JD portion of the program.
Okay, I just turned my mute off. Aaron, it might make sense for you to mute your line. Hopefully I won't get any feedback. Oh, excellent. So again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Lindsay Gladney from the law school, and I'll jump right in. I'll also try to be fairly quick so that we can leave some time for questions at the end. So quickly, the law school was established in 1887, so the University at Buffalo School of Law has over 130 years of educating future attorneys. We think that students choose to attend UB School of Law for a number of reasons, including our real-life education, the strength of our faculty, our community strengths, the student life, and, of course, the return on investment. Next slide. So Aaron touched on a bit of this, but we have the oldest and most comprehensive dual degree program is our JD MBA, which you're learning about this evening. Some of the advantages, of course, include the time. You're saving a year's worth of time and tuition if you pursue the dual degree program, the flexibility within the curriculum, and I'll talk about the JD curriculum in just a moment. The networking opportunities, so in addition to the alumni network with the School of Management, we have a fiercely loyal alumni network here at the law school. It's about 11,000 strong in many different regions of the country and internationally as well. Cost saving, of course, and the marketability of having the dual degree on your resume. Next slide. And next slide. Okay, so the JD curriculum will incorporate both theory and real-life skills. That first-year curriculum is prescribed for our students. That's when they're taking what we refer to as our black-letter law courses, based mainly in theory. Our students also take 2 semesters of legal analysis, writing, and research during the first year, and a third year of intensive writing, a third semester of the intensive writing course during either the fall or the spring of their second year. Beyond the first-year curriculum, our legal skills program encompasses courses and experiences in legal research and writing, litigation and non-litigation skills, including mediation and professional development. And so students can begin pursuing those that coursework as early as the fall of their second year. Next slide. We also offer 8 different concentrations and curricular programs. These are similar to pursuing a minor at the undergraduate level. So everyone will enroll in law school and they will be pursuing a JD. There's no real major. Everyone graduates with the Juris Doctorate degree. And then they can choose from 8 different concentrations. They're not required. I would say about 30 to 40% of our graduates complete a concentration, so by no means do you need to enroll knowing exactly what you want to do. I won't go through the whole list, but you can see we have a lot of variety within the curriculum that supports the interdisciplinary approach of our faculty and kind of the diverse backgrounds of our faculty as well. Next slide. So clinical legal education, I think similar to what Aaron was describing, I believe he used the word action learning. We have experiential learning opportunities, including our clinics. So students beyond the first year can register for clinical courses that are for academic credit that go towards their required graduation credits. And we currently have 10 different clinics. Under the supervision of an attorney, students in clinics perform the lawyer functions associated with their cases, including client and witness interviews, legal research, and preparing pleadings and negotiation. Currently, we have a group of students actually traveled down to Dilley, Texas to represent asylum seekers in our U.S.-Mexico border clinic. So I believe they're down there right now. Before heading down to Texas, they did a 2-week intensive course studying refugee and asylum law. So that's just one example of what happens in our clinics here at the School of Law. Next slide. In addition to clinics, students also have the opportunity to pursue externships or judicial clerkships, which provide students with unique legal and public service experience as they work in a variety of government and non-for-profit agencies. Most of those are located in downtown Buffalo. We also have some in Rochester, which is a sister city about an hour east of Buffalo, and in the suburbs surrounding the law school as well. I won't go through all of them. This is actually a short list on the slide, but we have over 50 different externship placements. And if students don't pursue them during the second year, they also have the opportunity to pursue these for academic credit during their third year of study at the law school. Next slide. Another important program I wanted to highlight is our semester-long program in New York City. It's our Finance and Law program. So students have the opportunity to take a full semester's worth of credit down in New York City with faculty from the School of Law and the School of Management. It's also an excellent networking opportunity if they're interested in going into corporate practice post-graduation. The program draws on the experience of our full-time faculty and our alumni who are practicing in the finance arena at a high level down in New York. And over the semester, students engage with a series of experts presenting on their particular niche of the corporate finance world. This past fall, they were also placed in an externship at a financial firm in New York City for the full semester. So this is an excellent opportunity, especially for JD MBA dual degree students. It's not required, but if you are interested in big law or corporate work, we would strongly recommend the experience. Next slide. Next slide. I also wanted to quickly highlight the many opportunities to get involved outside of the classroom at the School of Law. We have 6 different student-run law journals, numerous moot court and mock trial teams that compete regionally, but also nationally and internationally. And this is a very short list, but we have about 40 different active student organizations at the School of Law as well. Next slide. Next, yeah. I wanted to highlight our Career Services Office, which help our students develop the skills necessary to pursue a successful career. Some of the services they include are individual career counseling, interview programs. Of course, they post jobs online throughout the year, mentoring programs with our alums, career panels, and then career and job fairs as well. I could talk a lot about the importance of seeking the assistance of career services, especially at the graduate professional level, but I know we only have so much time, so I'll move on to the next slide. Oh, this is just a very short list of where some of our JD MBA dual degree alums are practicing. So you can see that some of them stay locally here in Western New York, and others have accepted positions, of course, in larger metro areas. And you can see some of their current titles as well. Next slide. Next slide. So you'll want to know how you can gain admission to the law school. And of course, for dual degree candidates, you want to apply separately into both programs. For the School of Law, you need to have earned or be in the process of earning, of course, your undergraduate degree. And then we also require students to take the LSAT or the GRE. We just began accepting the GRE for fall 2019 admission. We have a link here on the slide where you can read our frequently asked questions about taking the GRE for law school. This is an excellent opportunity for dual degree candidates to save some time and money when they're preparing for standardized tests. Now you have the option, if you are interested in the JD MBA, to take just one standardized test. I won't go over all the FAQs, but I strongly recommend visiting the link on this slide so you can learn about what you need to do if you do want to submit a GRE score with your law school application. Applicants are required to apply through a national application service that's handled by the Law School Admission Council. You can visit their website and create a free account at lsac.org. And then of course, we need official transcripts, recommendation letters. One will complete your file, but we recommend 2 to 3, a personal statement, and a professional resume as well. Next slide. And again, I'm just going to reiterate the link to the Law School Admission Council's website where you can create the free account. It's www.lsac.org. And that can get the process started for you. It's also an excellent resource for law school applicants. Next slide. Okay, so this is our most recent class profile. This shows some statistics for the class that we enrolled in August 2018, our class of 2021. I'll just highlight a couple of stats. Our median LSAT was a 153, and our median undergraduate cumulative GPA was a 3.41. The class size was just about 150. And I won't go over everything, but if you visit our website, our class profile is also publicized there. Next slide. Housing options for graduate and professional students on campus. We have a number of them, including Flint Village and also Creekside Village, and that's, I believe, for anyone with spouses or families. We also recommend some areas if you're considering off-campus housing in the city of Buffalo and neighboring suburbs. And of course, be very careful if you're using Craigslist. The subboard.com link you see under off-campus housing, I believe you would need some UB credentials to log into that, but if you apply and you gain admission, we can also help you, point you in the right direction if you're interested in off-campus housing. Next slide. So you heard Erin discuss the tuition and fees for the School of Management. The tuition and fees for the School of Law are a little different. So our in-state tuition for New York State residents is $25,410. And I should note these are current academic year tuition rates. They are always subject to change. And our non-New York State resident tuition rate is $29,500 plus fees. So you can see in the red I bolded what the total is with the fees. Over 80% of incoming law students receive merit scholarships. Those are based on academic merits. We are looking at standardized test scores and GPA, but also professional work experience would be considered. If you are eligible to submit a free application for federal student aid, that would be domestic students or any permanent residents of the U.S., we strongly recommend that you do that as soon as you begin the application process. And I won't go over all the loan options here, but there's some, this information is reiterated on the School of Law's website if you did want to do some research on the best loans for graduate and professional students in the U.S. Next slide. Oh, so questions. I believe at this point we will take any questions, and it might make sense, I think, if Erin unmutes. And we'll just keep an eye on our questions box.
Lindsay, while we're waiting for questions to come in through the chat or Q&A box, I do have a list of questions that were submitted through registration. Okay. I'll go ahead and read a couple off, and we can, volley back and forth with answers.
That works for me.
The first is, can you work while pursuing this program?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. So the recommendation on whether or not you can work really falls back on you and your capability and what you're able to handle within your bandwidth. The gauge that we use is the assistantships. So with an assistantship comes a 20-hour work week requirement, and so that's typically what we recommend, at least to start out. If you feel the need and it's an absolute must to work to bring in some kind of compensation, then we suggest limiting it to 20 hours per week. Some students, as they navigate through the program and become more comfortable with time management and the ability to pile a little bit more on, may increase that, or they may scale back. Again, it's going to be situation dependent.
So the School of Law does not have a hard and fast policy against students working. We advise against first-year law students working because the coursework is very demanding, and we want to make sure that law school is their first priority. But we also understand that some students simply need to work to make ends meet. So we don't recommend working any more than 20 hours during law school.
Okay. Can I submit my test score after the application deadline?
So for the School of Law, you can. We have a priority application deadline of March 1st. That's a soft deadline, so we do welcome applications beyond that date. We will not accept LSAT scores beyond the June test administration, and we also ask if you're taking the GRE to take it no later than June 1st.
So I'm going to go ahead and assume that this person is referring to whether or not the application will be considered during a particular round in the case of the MBA program. So the answer would be no if you want your application considered during that particular round. Now, if you have all your other components in, and let's say it's October, and you don't submit your test score until after the deadline, October 15th, you would automatically be moved and considered to the December 1st round, depending upon when we receive that application, or I'm sorry, that test score. So until we receive every single component necessary for the application, your application wouldn't be considered for that particular round. Okay, moving on. How to apply for scholarships.
I'll jump in for the School of Law. So every student who's offered admission to the School of Law is automatically considered for merit scholarship at the point of admission. If we have any additional named scholarships that accepted students are eligible to apply for, we will email you post-admission about the application process. And then we also, if any additional scholarships come across our desk that we want to notify students about, we'll put a notice out as well. But when we're talking about merit scholarships, admitted students are automatically considered at the point of admission, and if they are awarded any amount of scholarship, it'll be noted within their admit letter.
Yeah, and it's the same exact situation for the School of Management and the MBA program. You're going to be able to do your own research and find scholarships that are out there that exist specific to MBA candidates from third-party sources. I highly recommend seeking those and ultimately applying for them if you're qualified. Lots of money out there, and year after year there's a good chunk of money that's left on the table for third-party sources. So one of the websites that I traditionally point people in the direction, just because of how well it's organized and laid out, is gograd.org. Again, they categorize by women, by diversity, by MBA specific, and they show you each organization that's offering a scholarship, the deadline that it's due, requirements, and the dollar amount. So I highly recommend checking that out. But as far as School of Management MBA specific scholarships, there's nothing in addition to applying for the program that needs to be done. How much is the application fee?
So for the School of Law, we have an application fee of $85. And if you, we do welcome, requests for fee waivers, so you can shoot me an email if you're interested in seeking a fee waiver. But our National Application Service, the Law School Admission Council, also has their own fees, and those are much more expensive. I believe it's $185 to apply through the Law School Admission Council. Unfortunately, we can't assist you with those fees, but we can waive our $85 fee. And I can give you my email at the end of the Q&A.
For the School of Management and the MBA program, there is a $100 application fee. We are able to waive that fee if you've, in some capacity, either served in the U.S. military or are currently serving. And that would just be a matter of forwarding credentials, and then we can put in for the waiver. When are we informed about our status? I'm assuming that's referring to whether or not they've been accepted.
Okay, so for the School of Law, we put, once we receive your application and we process it, assuming that your application is complete, it goes into review with the admissions committee within about 2 to 3 weeks, and then it's in review for another 2 to 3 weeks. So I would say the time frame is between 4 and 6 weeks if you're applying for admission to the law school. And I failed to mention this earlier, but our application becomes available every year on September 1st for the following fall, and we only admit students into the fall term with the orientation taking place in August every year.
So the application deadlines for the MBA program I highlighted earlier, application opening in July, first deadline being in October, final for international February 1st, final for domestic June 1st. So each deadline, good rule of thumb, is about a 6-week time period in between that actual deadline and then receiving a decision. Within that 6-week time period is when we're scheduling interviews, which is the final component of the application that wasn't listed in the presentation. So after that deadline that you apply for, you're going to receive notification via email on scheduling a time and a place to have that in-person interview, which takes place with someone from our admissions team. It's one-on-one format, very conversational in tone, but that's the last piece of the puzzle before receiving that decision, which again takes place approximately, depending on which deadline, about 6 weeks after the actual application deadline. What career networking opportunities are provided in the program? Okay, so for the School of Law, I had one slide covering our Career Services Office, and so I covered most of what they do, but we have on-campus interviews that happen every summer. We also have an event called Network the Nation. This past fall, we had a career event on campus where we had employers interviewing for positions. And then our Law Alumni Association, like I said, are very loyal. So they plan events throughout the year as well, where students have the opportunity to attend those as well. And that is true not just with our Buffalo alumni chapter, but we also have a very active New York City alumni chapter, and we invite current students to those events as well. Of course, it's a little tougher for them to attend, but if they're on break, it is feasible. Yeah, very similar fashion. Again, a lot of this was covered during the actual presentation portion. But within the Career Resource Center located in the School of Management, you do have a dedicated staff member that's there to help guide you through the professional piece of this, or at least preparing for the professional piece of this, that has a background or an expertise that lies within the specific industry that you're focusing on. With that comes relationships, partnerships with alumni, organizations, so on and so forth. We're bringing recruiters on campus, we're bringing alumni on campus, we're bringing organizations on campus to present opportunities to actively engage on a regular basis. Students also go above and beyond and seek out opportunities to attend annual conferences nationwide. So there's plenty of opportunities, whether it be connecting with alumni or simply an organization that you have interest in, to take advantage of the resources to do so on a regular basis. Okay, I think that does it for my list of questions. We'll give you guys one last opportunity to type in any questions you may have, in addition, and either the chat box or the Q&A?
And I'm just going to chime in for one moment to say on the last slide where we have questions, you can see there is an email address for the School of Law Office of Admissions. It's law-admissions@buffalo.edu. So if you are interested in requesting a fee waiver, you can send the request to that email address. Just let us know that you are a participant in the JD MBA webinar.
Okay, great. Similarly, if you've forgotten a question or one pops up later on, feel free to email us. Email address is on the screen. Everyone will also be receiving a copy of this webinar along with the follow-up email communications that are associated with this specific webinar. So again, I want to thank you for joining us today. We certainly appreciate your time, and we look forward to the potential of working with you in the future. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you and good evening.